Hey there, I'm Steve.
And I'm Jen.
And we are The Road Less Traveled.
Today we're going to talk to you about newbie full-time living facts, FAQs, so questions that we've been asked, and we just want to tackle them right here.
Let's get this party started.
One of the most common questions we get asked is how do we get mail and where do we get mail? And in fact, when I was sitting down with a really good friend over Zoom when we first started, that was her first question. So let's go ahead and address it. Before we got full-time RVing, that we signed up with Traveling Mailbox, and they have locations all over the US, and then they had it where we domicile, which was in North Carolina. So we use Traveling Mailbox and have been for a while. We pay $15 a month, and I have one for personal and then one for business. And so they pretty much take in our mail. They show us a picture and we can choose if we want to open it and scan it, shred it and delete it, get it forwarded, or they can actually deposit checks for us. So that has been working really well. No problems there. It takes a little while to get things if you're somewhere out in the country. So it comes to Traveling Mailbox, then you have to figure out where to send it, which is my second piece of advice that I actually picked up on the road from our friends in Moab, is that if you are in a location for a while and you have time to receive mail at that location, then you can potentially get your mail sent to a mailbox, like the post office. And it's called general delivery. And you have to call the post office to say, do you accept general delivery? And if they do, then you just address it to general delivery with your name, the zip code, and then followed by 4 nines, so 9999, and then you can go pick it up at the post office if it's just a regular piece of mail. So those are two things and two ways we've gotten mail on the road.
Another common question we get asked is, how do you get packages on the road? Now, the main way we do this is we get them delivered to campgrounds. You do want to actually go ahead and make sure they accept them and let them know that you have a package, because we have actually had things get lost when we had them sent to campgrounds. So you want to try to be on top of it as you can. Another way too is, as Jen mentioned earlier, is through general delivery. You do want to call ahead of time though to make sure that they accept it in general delivery and to find out what the fee might be. Another question we get, and this one's a biggie, is how do you get internet? And this is especially important if you are working on the road like we are. So it took us actually quite a while to figure this out. But the first thing to note is that you should not depend on campground Wi-Fi, because it is often pretty terrible. So that pretty much leaves you with cellular internet. And if you go directly to Verizon or AT&T, typically you're not going to find a plan that's going to suit your data needs for the right price. So what people end up doing is they go to resellers, and our reseller that we use is called Bix Wireless, and it's about $100 a month for 400 gigs of data. Now, there is a waiting list right now for Bix, but we've also heard some other companies that are pretty good. One is Nomad Internet, and you might want to look them up. And I've also heard good things about Never Throttled, but I don't know much about them. But you may want to look that up as well. But the key is that you need to get cellular internet from a reseller. Now, these resellers work off of big networks. So the one we're on is AT&T. And what we do if AT&T isn't working is we actually have Verizon cell phone plans, and we could use that as a hotspot, as a backup in key situations, but there's not a lot of data on there before they throttle you. So you want to kind of limit that.
A common question we get is, are we independently wealthy? The answer is no. We need to make money while we're on the road. So our personal situation is that I own a business that supplies our income. And luckily I'm able to perform my business duties remotely, and a lot of the stuff I do is virtual. Thank you, COVID, so I really don't have to travel much anymore, at least for now. So that's how we make money on the road. But there are a lot of different situations that we've encountered with other full-timers on the road. We've met a family who sold their house and they were just going to live on those savings for as long as they possibly could, watching their expenses, so they didn't have to worry about making money for a little while. We've met another couple that one has a corporate job, and the corporate job lets them go flexible, and the other parent takes care of the kids. And then we've met people that do like work camping and side hustles and ways to make money online and to bring some income in. And you know, it can be cheaper living in an RV than your sticks and bricks, just depending on a bunch of different scenarios. But there are ways to make money on the road, or there are ways to maybe negotiate with your employer to go take your job on the road.
All right, so another common question we get is, how do we domicile? Although people don't actually commonly ask it that way, but that's essentially what we're doing. So there's no longer a house to tie our address to, so you still need somewhere that you officially live, even though you don't actually live there, and that's called your domicile. So what we do is we are still domiciled in North Carolina, mainly because it was the easiest thing to do since we were in North Carolina, and we didn't want to do all the work to change our domicile. Now that's going to change very soon, hopefully, but right now we are in North Carolina, so we need a physical address. That's like the key part of domicile. And our physical address is through Traveling Mailbox. They actually have a physical address set up for us that we can use as our physical address on official documents and such. Now, when we change domicile, we're actually going to be looking into some of the advantages of some different states and figure out where would actually be the best place. And the most common are Florida, South Dakota, and Texas. And the main reasons those are the most common are because they don't have state income tax, they have easier homeschool laws, they have better health insurance options, and they have cheaper auto insurance options. That's what I've pretty much come to find that people care about. Now, between the three states, it's a bit of a mix. Like some are better than others in each category. Neither one of the states has a state income tax. But for us, I think we're leaning towards either Texas or Florida, mostly just because South Dakota is pretty far and it's cold up there. And if we have to go in the winter, I don't really want to do that. So now it's between Texas and Florida. From what I've heard, homeschool is easier in Texas, but I believe that Florida actually has a national health care plan, which is pretty attractive. Now, in terms of how to actually do the domicile, you would typically use a company for this. Now, one very popular company that I think we might use is Escapees, and I believe they'll actually walk you through the whole process. So you'll use them as your mailbox for mail, and you also use them for your physical address, and they'll also guide you through how to get everything set up with the DMV and everything else that you need to do to become officially domiciled in that state. All right, the next frequently asked question is, how do you homeschool? So first of all, you need to think about it legally, and that's different in every state. So you really need to check with your state to figure out what the rules are. And as I mentioned earlier, I believe Texas has pretty easy homeschool laws, meaning if you want to just do it independently without the authorities concerning themselves in your homeschooling business, then Texas might be a good place for you. In terms of actually doing the schooling, there's a lot of different ways, and we've tried a few. Homeschool has actually been a bit of a challenge for us. We've tried online. One thing we tried was called Time for Learning, and it was pretty good, but it didn't work out for us for whatever reason. Ben would just get a bit distracted, I think, when he was on the computer. So now we've switched to workbooks. It's basically, I believe it's by Sylvan, and it's just second grade workbooks, and you just take the workbooks and you just assign him, I just assign him pages in the workbook, and we work through them together to make sure that he's learning everything. And yeah, that's pretty much it. You're probably going to want to dive a little deeper, like if you have like a high school student, because you need to start thinking about college and what they accept and things like that.
One thing I want to talk about, which you may find silly, men who are watching, and maybe some of you ladies, but I want to talk about getting your hair done on the road. Now, I hope this doesn't turn into a rant, because in one of our YouTube comments, I got questioned on why I dry my hair anyway. Well, folks, I care about my hair, and you may too. And the reason why I wanted to address this on this video, this topic, is because I see women oftentimes asking in a Facebook group, what do you do about your hair? And they get a lot of flack. They get flack because they want to actually take care of their hair. All right, so just because you're full-time RVing or you're camping doesn't mean you need to like not care about your appearance, all right? Now, some days I don't care about my appearance, but some days I do. And you know, my hair is gray. All right, I've got some nice gray hair coming in right here, and if I don't get it colored, I just look older. And I'm not ready to go fully gray yet. So what I have done, this has been a little bit of a challenge on the road, is I typically have, when I was in Raleigh, I had a stylist that I would go to, and my solution is going to an Aveda salon. So Aveda has, you know, chains, but they all have the same formulas, and so you can get your formula from your stylist and then bring it to each Aveda salon. So here in Gulf Shores, I found a fantastic stylist, so right before I leave, I'm going to ask her for what she uses, the formula. Can't guarantee I'll get a good haircut next, but at least on the color, I can bring that formula to each Aveda salon, and they're reputable salons. So, you know, do with this what you will, but it's okay to care about your hair.
Don't talk about this girl and her hair. She's angry.
I just got on a little bit of a rant, and I think it is an important question, even though you may say, what a silly thing. You could skip over that tip. But for me, I own a business, and I do virtual trainings for organizations, so I need to show up looking professional. And so it is very important for me in my business. I think it, too, is a common question in the Facebook groups. So it's something I have encountered and figured out and just wanted to share it.
Men, and this is how I do it, maybe other men do it differently, but I go to Google Maps and I search haircut, and I find the closest place, and I go in and I get my hair cut, and it works really well.
It's just difference between men and women. And some women, you cut your own hair, which is good for you too. I'm not doing it. I'm particular. Okay.
Alright, so that's it for this video. Hope you liked it. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button below. That helps us out and helps the channel and helps other people see the content. Also, if you have any other questions that we did not address, please drop them in the comments below and we will hopefully address them in a future video. And if you have not already subscribed, please go ahead and hit that subscribed button. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.